Hey y'all, welcome back to Sidewinder Shed. And yep, right here today we are working on this engine again. It's been a little while, and I'm sorry about that. You know, this life has a tendency to get in the way. Today is Thursday, December 23rd. It's around Christmas time, so it's been a little bit hectic, a little bit crazy. I pretty much had a lot of running around and other stuff to do, you know, it being the holiday season. But anyway, gonna try and get back on this today. This here, this engine, like I said, I've never done one before. Um, Now I have dealt with double overhead cams. I've dealt with single overhead cams. But what I'm really mostly familiar with, as far as automotive use goes, is your basic American V8 engine. That's you know, that's my expertise there, and I'm not even a real expert on it. But this engine here is all aluminum, and if you count the oil pan, which is not like your regular tin oil pan on a V8 engine, this here is a pretty substantial piece of aluminum, and it seems to have mounting bolts on it for the transmission and other things. Above that, right about here, coming across here on the engine, this is the timing chain cover, but coming across here on the engine, you have what's called a girdle, and that is what holds your crankshaft in, and it's a huge piece, and you have to take that out to put main bearings in, which I was going to do. Unfortunately, the way I have this set up on the engine stand is I'm using one of the bolts that holds the girdle on to hold the engine up. So I would have to hook up my engine hoist, pick this engine up, figure out how to hook up my engine stand again without using that, pull all the bolts out of the girdle, and then that requires another gasket as well. And complete engine gasket set for this engine is running right now around $500. A month ago it was at $300. The bearings have gone up $60 just in a month. I don't have the money for all that. I can't do it. I can't do it. I wish I could, and I'm so damn close to really doing it all. It's right here. It's right here. It's be about 45 minutes of fiddling around getting this thing set up properly on the engine stand so I could take it all apart. But it does me no good to take it all apart if I can't put it back together for lack of funds. So I'm just going to have to hope for the best. I'm going to put the timing gears and timing chains on this because I already have those parts. I'm going to put the water pump together, put that on here. The power steering pump I'm going to use off the old engine because I know it's good. There's nothing wrong with it. And I'm still looking at around $300 for the gaskets. As far as the oil, coolant, and everything, I got that because I buy a little bit at a time for the other vehicles I have, and fortunately this one can use the same stuff, so that's not a big deal. And as far as these aluminum block engines go, and this has aluminum heads on it too, which I prefer having all the same. They heat up the same, they expand the same. I'm not a big fan on a daily driver of having cast iron block and aluminum heads. I just never have been. I know that's old school. 40 years ago there was problems with them. Now the metallurgy in the alloys is different. The gaskets are a little different. It's a lot better. You do have very few problems with them. it's hard to shake. Seeing as I don't deal with them every day, it's hard to get that out of the back of my mind. So I just prefer everything the same. As far as these aluminum engines go, do I have experience with them? Yeah, not so much in the automotive industry, but believe it or not, I have an A&P license. That's airframe and power plant. I used to work on aircraft. With that being said, yeah, I prefer the internal combustion engine as opposed to a jet engine. Although I did design and build my own jet engine decades ago. And before you get all excited about that, it's a very simple one that I built. It's a pulse jet, very few moving parts. As a matter of fact, the only thing that really moves are the valves on it, and they were spring loaded. They weren't mechanically operated. It was just a pressure effect, going from a high pressure to a low pressure area for intake, and then in the combustion chamber, when it fired, there was higher pressure there that went out through the exhaust. That's how it worked. Anyway, Google it or even YouTube it. There's examples of pulse jets. Very, very simple. Couple years later, I did design but never built a turbofan jet. You can Google that also, or probably even YouTube it. I never have, and it'll explain the difference. That's a little bit more complicated. And the reason why it didn't get built is because of the expense of the impellers, the vanes that are made on the impellers. I don't have that stuff hanging around. I don't have money to buy it, machine it. It has to be very precise. I'm not a machinist. I'm not a very good fabricator. One thing I did find interesting, and that was about a year and a half after I designed that, the injectors for that pulse jet engine, and those were machined, and I was talked through that. I did that myself. I redesigned them about a year, probably about a year and a half later, and this was while I was in school, and at the time I was going to East Coast Aerotech, which is now owned by MIT, and I was taking some engineering courses at, one engineering course at MIT, because we shared the same labs. We're at Hanscom Field, Hanscom Air Force Base. MIT was using the facilities that East Coast Aerotech had, because at the time it was the best in the world. Anyway, I redesigned those injectors, and they were snapped up. The design was snapped up by JPL, and it was actually used for an ion propulsion engine, and I believe it was used on Deep Space One. You can Google that. Yeah, that was launched back in late 80s, early 90s. But anyway, yeah, and a lot of times, unless you patent something, which I didn't do, and even if you do, and you design something through the school, they own the rights to it. You don't. That's the way it was 40 years ago, anyway. Anyway, I just threw that out. I thought that was kind of cool. Something I designed is actually up in space, so that was kind of cool. Anyway, today, right now, I'm gonna finish my juice, clean this up. I'm gonna pull the timing chain cover off, and we're gonna go ahead and replace these timing chains and the one timing gear. Hopefully I don't screw that up, but I got to get this done. The vehicle that this is going in has been down for a couple months, and my daughter's been using my wife's Jeep. My wife wants her Jeep back, her daughter wants her car back, and I still have got to figure out how to take her old engine out of the car, because I don't have the room, I don't have the equipment, I don't have the facility to do it like it's supposed to be done, which is dropping the entire front sub-assembly, wheels, steering system, transmission, engine, then picking the front of the car up and sliding that everything out from under it. I just don't have the room space or equipment to do that. So I have to figure out a different way where I can more conventionally pull this engine out of the car instead of pulling the car off the engine. So I got to figure that out, and it's getting late in the year. Thankfully, I'm in Virginia where I'm not in a blizzard right now, but we're only a couple weeks away from some real bad weather. And right now I'm off until the 4th of January without pay. That's a different story. But anyway, so I gotta do best I can and get this done, or it's gonna be April until the wife gets her Jeep back and I, get a happy life again. Maybe, possibly, I don't know. But anyway, thank you all for listening to me babble again, and I appreciate every single one of you subscribing and watching this. Thank you so much. It's awesome. And I also want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays for those of you that don't celebrate Christmas itself. Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, so forth and so on. I don't mean to sound blasé about it, but I don't know all of the holidays that are celebrated at this point, during this time of year. I'm not overly familiar with it. So please, when I say Merry Christmas, don't take offense. Just know that I am wishing you the best for this time of season. Alrighty, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm not going to put this on pause. I'm just going to throw this up as a separate video. I don't have any luck hitting the pause button. So y'all take care, and I'll bring you back later. Now that I sat down, I've got to try to get up. Again, it's about in the low 40s here, so it's a little chilly, and the old bones hurt. Y'all take care.